Hi guys, this is YJ. Welcome to our new video. In this new video, we're going to show you how we made to measure a satin wide-legged slit pants for our customer. And this customer is considered extra small, so we discussed the design with her and did the paper patterns from scratch. And we're going to show you how we sew this product. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. And if you're interested in made to measure, please feel free to inbox us and we'll be ready to help. Please comment below and let us know how we can improve. So let's get started. So now we have a piece of facing with the interfacing attached on the back side of the fabric. And now we're going to trim off the excess and overlock on the side. Now we'll lift the footer and put it back down to compress on the fabric. And we start trimming. We're only trimming off the frayed part so that the finished product will look clean and tidy. This is how it looks like after you finished with the trimming and overlock. So we'll continue with all the sides. Now we've finished overlock the facing, we're going to overlock all the front and back panels of the pants. The side is like this. It is neater compared to the parts that is not overlocked because without the overlock, the fabrics will fray like this over time. So the reason why we do the overlock is because we want to stop the fabric edges from fraying. So we're going to do the whole round around the panel. As for the front crotch, we're going to do the same as well. So we're going to overlock. As for the waist part, we're going to leave it like this because we will be attaching the waistband afterwards. So we don't want to add that extra fabric thickness to the whole garment. So we're going to finish until the crotch part. It's a little bit tricky, but we just have to do it slowly so to ensure that we can sew it nicely. Always remember not to pull excessively against the grain because it will stretch the fabric and make the garment look inaccurate. So that's it. We're going to iron and press it down so that it will look neat. We're going to finish all 4 pieces of the front and the back. So we're going to match this piece up with the face side of the fabric against the face side of the front panel. So we're going to mesh it up and we're going to pin it down here carefully without and then we're going to just add the center pin so that it doesn't move incorrectly, and we will sew along the center line. So now what we're gonna do is to sew along the center line, which I marked with the chalk from the bottom up, and with only 0.1 cm space in between. Start doing a back stitch to hold the piece in place. We're not going to cut the thread, we're just going to adjust at the right angle. Put the footer down, press it properly, and run a stitch over and one back stitch. We can pull this away already, as we have already ensured the fix of the fabric. And now once you adjust, you can start sew the inwards with only 0.1 to 0.2 width here. So after the back stitch, what we're going to do is we're going to run one more time over the part that we've sewn, so that when we flip over, it doesn't fray on the end, it doesn't come off. So we're going to run another stitch over. So that's it. We're just going to cut off the thread, and this is how we're going to sew this up. So we're going to repeat this on another piece. After finish sewing with the facing, what we'll do is we're going to cut on the center. Very carefully so that we will not damage the threads beside. At the end of this part, we'll try to snip a Y angle, a very small Y angle. Just like this. And this is the part where the slit opens on the front panel of the pants. What we're gonna do is now we will iron So this is how the slit on the front opens. After we complete the slit opening, what we're gonna do is the box pleat on the waist part where we already marked with chalks. So we're gonna pin it up like this, and we're gonna do a running stitch to hold it in place before we attach the waistband. So make sure the waistline is accurate, and the top stitch doesn't need to be exactly the width of the allowance. You can do it with just half a footer. An inverted box pleat on top. Now we've finished with the front, we'll move to the back waist dart, and we're gonna sew it up. Match it up. And sew it. Actually, the dart is relatively small. You can choose to omit it, but I would like to keep it as a design. So I'm just gonna sew it up. To give it a better shape overall. And once you finish with the dart, do not backstitch because it will give an unpleasant volume over here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to do a knot. We're gonna do a knot. Just simply knot it like this and do another one so that it is fixed and secure. And cut up a pleasant waist dart without an unpleasant volume over here. Now we're going to attach front and back together. This is the back panel and this is the front, face side to face side of the fabric, and we're going to sew on the side seam. I've left 1.5 cm allowance on the side, just in case that in the future maybe we want to do some adjustments, so we still can. So now we're gonna back stitch. And next we're going to just flip over to the inseam. The back and the front face side towards the face side, and we're going to sew the inseam as well. So now we have finished sewing the inseam and the side seam. We're going to press it flat and open the seam. Now what we're going to do is to sew the front crotch part towards the back until the notch area. So now we've completed the pants part, including the crotch part. What we're going to do now is to attach the waistband. Next, we're going to attach the front and back waistband together on top, and we're going to do small snips on the curved allowance area so that there is ease when we flip it over. And we're going to snip until there's only 0.1 cm left until the stitching area. So after we snip on the curved area to provide ease when we do the folding, what we're going to do is now we're going to press the fabric open on the seam. And when we press the seam open, always remember the allowance will be pressed towards the side with the interfacing. So after we press, we are going to top stitch on the facing part by 0.1 cm. So now after we press the facing down with the allowance towards the facing, what we're gonna do is to top stitch 0.1 cm on the facing. Like this. So after we finish with the top stitch, what we're gonna do is we're going to press it down. Neatly. So after we finish pressing down like this, what we're gonna do is iron another 1 cm fold on the facing part. This will help us to finish the whole waistband at a later stage. So now, with the waistband face side towards the face side, we're going to fix it with a pin on the side seam. On the other side. All the way towards the center back. Fix it this way with the other side as well. And we're going to sew 1 cm allowance for the whole round, and this is going to be the opening of the zipper later on. So after attaching the waistband, we're going to press the seam to make sure that the final product will look very neat. In a sewing process, I believe that 50% of the work is in steaming the fabric, steaming the seams and everything, because it is really crucial that you do this so to ensure that the final product will look nice. Because if you don't, a lot of times the seam will not look neat at all, and it will be like a mess. So we need to have a lot of patience when it comes to sewing and pressing the seams. It's just part of it. After finishing the waistband, we are going to attach the concealed zipper. And before we attach the zipper, we need to press the zipper open like this with an iron on both sides, so it's easier for us to attach it. Now what we need to do is to put the zipper on the tip like this, with the facing downwards like this. And fix it in place. And we're going to do the same on both sides. And we will be changing our normal footer to another one which is used for sewing zippers. After sewing it up, we're going to fold this way and flip the waistband over so the edge is clean and neat. It doesn't bulk on this part. And we'll be doing this the same on the other side. This is how it will look like after you press it down. The reason why we did the pressing earlier was to help us to finish it nicely, and later on we will just press along the line to finish up the waistband. But before that, we will iron this part first to press it down neatly. Due to the slippery texture of a satin, before we finish up the waistband, I would pin it down according to the seam line carefully so that it doesn't slip when I do this top stitching on the front. So there are different ways of doing waistband, but for myself, I like to sew it on this part, just beneath the seam line, so it's hidden. And another one is you can do it on top of the waistband here, add 0.1 cm on the waistband. So now we're gonna start, and we're going to change the footer back to the usual standard one. So as you can see, I press it exactly underneath the seam line, and this is how we're going to finish the waistband. Do a slight back stitch. Next, we are going to attach the belt loops around the waistband. We're going to iron the hem of the pants, where we could fold upwards at 2 cm. After ironing the fold line, we will then top stitch to finish the hem. So this will be how the hem looks like, and afterwards you need to steam it flat to make it neater.